What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena in here on a Wednesday night. So much to talk about because, now that hockey season is pretty much started, NBA has started. We're in pretty much the NLCS and ALCS with Major League Baseball. And then we've got, of course, the NFL going on. One of the best times to be a sports person. Just saying. Anyhow, let me get the crew in here. First off, let me get my man, John Shear, back in the building with me on a Wednesday night. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. The Astros are winning, so I'm happy.
Okay. How was your little girl's birthday, man? Everything good?
Yeah, it was great. Got to spend the whole day with her. It was fantastic. So I'm happy.
Awesome. 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 Let's get our queen of hoops in here, Miss Megan Price. Haven't seen Megan since Thursday. Look at that smile on her face. She's happy that basketball's back. Megan,
Indeed.
can we talk about the NBA carousel? When is it making its return to the Sideline Sports Network?
It will be after the first of the year, just because we have so many shows going on. I thought that we would wait until the NFL carousel was done, because I have several people on that show who are also a part of the NBA show. So just to kind of give everybody some cohesiveness with our schedules.
Okay. All right. So 2023, look out for Megan Price's NBA carousel coming soon, back on Monday nights to you. And then, of course, let me get this guy in here. I think he's okay now. We had a little disagreement on Monday night. He seemed a little upset, but, Mike,
wow.
you okay,
He's
bro?
still
You all right?
upset.
Megan, you hear this blasphemy? It's one
I
game.
heard. I heard
It's
about
one-
it.
It's one game. But hey, John, I hope your little girl had a happy birthday, even though she's got to listen to your Dolphins junk. Please don't fill her with that junk. Let her form her own opinions. Be a good dad. Let her form her own opinions, except that she becomes a Pats fan.
It sounds like James Tatum still has the upper hand on you, huh?
Oh,
No.
look, everybody in Philly can celebrate in October. Let them celebrate in October. Meg,
We're
Meg,
celebrating
celebrate
in
not-
October
listen,
right
Eric,
now.
We'll
Is there
celebrate in
an
October
LCS?
and we'll celebrate again
Oh.
come February.
please. Oh, wow, that's funny. And Megan doesn't want to start till January because Megan, and I'm not even picking. I know you're still getting over DeJounte. I know because I said your boyfriend left San Antonio.
Why?
so-
Are you serious? You're just gonna go in on me like this right
See?
now? I
See,
just,
Megan?
I
I
love
just
it. Cowboy
don't.
fan attack.
No,
I'm
I'm already having to answer to. I have several friends, people that are on my shows that are
I
Atlanta Hawks
sympathize.
fans.
No, but
Do
I'm
you
saying
think?
I'm here to
Do you
support
think
you.
they didn't tag me in this? You think they
No,
haven't
I'm
tagged
saying-
me at least 6 times today? You
I'm
too,
saying
Ed
I'm
too,
here to
Brute?
support you.
Ed
I'm
too?
here to support. I'm here to support you. That's what I'm saying.
It's
Reach
not
out. to me.
supportive. That's not supportive.
I'm just
at all.
saying I'm here for you. And yes, it is, man.
It's all right.
See, now
It's all right. The Lady Horns came in ranked number 3 before the
I
season,
was
so
just
I
about
am.
to say that
I'm
too.
looking forward to women's basketball. I can say that.
Yeah, but you saw who's number 2, right? You saw who's ranked number 2, right?
Stanford.
Stanford. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
I know. Hey, but we can hang with y'all. We can hang.
I know.
Mike,
Absolutely.
wait. When did you become a Stanford women's basketball
Pac-
fan? I've never.
They're Pac-12. They're
Pac-12,
Pac-12.
Oh, okay. It's been
He's a
Pac-12.
Pac 12.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Now,
wanted
if
to
it had
make
been that-
sure because I was
Eric,
like,
Eric, you bring up a point because real quick, if it would have been that team down south, I wouldn't have been bragging about that. I would just said there's a team from the Pac-12 ranked in the top 10.
okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. All right. All right, let's get to it. We got so much to talk about as always. A couple topics here that we need to discuss. And the first one, of course, is a bit of a sensitive subject to Megan and myself and to John and Mike. But Brittany Griner, 240 plus days, and she's still detained over in Russia. Just celebrated her birthday over there, and I really don't know what more needs to be done. But I just know she needs to be home. And I know we haven't put enough emphasis on it from the sports arena. So I want to make sure that we keep that conversation going. So, Megan, I'm always going to defer to you because it's outside of myself. And no disrespect to Mike or to John, but I'm always going to defer to you on this because you keep your ear to the ground with regards to the W.
Right.
Second, I'm a very close second, but have you heard anything? Has anything come down your pipeline? Any of your resources? Can they tell you anything?
I be honest, I haven't heard a thing. I think the most important thing we can do is to continue to talk about it, keep her name out there, make sure that we're all still aware of what the situation is going on. But as time goes on, and we are a few days away from her appeal. It just makes me so nervous for her. It just kind of starting to feel like she's going to have to serve this 9 years. And that might be the case, but it seems like we are just seeing an outpouring of support. And what I notice so much is, we see ladies that are her teammates, putting up birthday posts all day yesterday. And it wasn't necessarily like the Mercury players that were, and they were obviously there, but it was like Stewie put up a message, Naneka put up a message. Like it was the entire W looks at her as a teammate, and I think that's so important. And they keep that family vibe with her. And she did release something today through her lawyer and say that, she was able to see some of the messages and that she just really appreciated the support. So, we're just going to have to try and keep some positive thoughts. And the 25th is when her appeal is. So,
yeah,
we'll see then. I'm really nervous for her.
Okay, Mike, you're out there in the Phoenix area, and again, I know you're dealing with Works Up ASU and stuff like that. And now that the Suns are getting ready to, they've kicked off their season as well. Have you heard anything?
Kicked off their season.
Okay, let's save that rhetoric for a later time, John. It's appreciative, but let's save it for a later time. Mike, have you heard anything?
Well, I know yesterday, the one thing I have heard, and like Megan was saying, it hasn't been a ton, but they were talking about how, because you're right, today's 244 days now. Yesterday was at 243. But it's getting to a point where it's basically it's political posturing, Eric, because they're gonna at some point prisoner swap. But what is it now? In here, and to your point, it's not that it's not in the forefront, but if you want to do something big political right before elections, it'd be really amazing if she's home in the next 2.5 weeks. Like to Megan's opposite side, yes, it looks like the 9 years.
Right, no, that would be great.
Would be served. Yeah, it looks like the 9 years.
Yeah, right before the midterm election. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But no, I know Steph Curry was talking about it yesterday too, and I meant to post it. I want to give him a shout out for that because look, a lot of obviously, like Megan said, and we've all seen the WNBA players all year long. BG was at the forefront, and when they're playing, it's a lot easier for this to be. It's unfortunate to be in the news, and which is good. And for the NBA, on the NBA side, like I said, Steph Curry was talking about it. The Suns outside of talking about nobody talking, but a lot of this stuff, quite a few of the questions today, even before like pregame and stuff that I saw from some of the beat reporters that were out there. There was a lot of statements about Brittany Griner. So now that their season again has started up, wanting to keep it, that little break between the WNBA and the NBA, they want to keep it out there. But yeah, to me, like I said, a prisoner swap is inevitable at some point. And like we talked about earlier, the only thing is, Eric, you're giving him like basically a guy that's been on a terrorist list from Russia, and that's partaken in terrorist acts. So it's one of those things, and they want more, and they know it. And, now that obviously Russia's in the middle of a war. So again, is it really in their forefront to let her out? It's pathetic and it's sad for, again, what she's there for. And me, Eric, I've always said rules and laws are laws. If you go somewhere, you have to live with it. But the fact that in all actuality, it's not technically, there's no drug there's no THC in the oils that we're talking about.
Right.
Any of the CBD
exactly.
stuff, there's no THC. So but to your point, to your question, yes, they are talking about it. And I will say lastly that, we've seen you. I know you've seen the NBA courts, and with Bill Russell passing away, everybody's got the 6 on their court. I would just hope that all the teams. So every night NBA games are on, you see the BG 42 on all courts. I'm sorry, that's not hard to do. And I think Adam Silver and the NBA need to step up and do that.
I agree.
I love that.
And I think that needs to happen as well. Completely agree. All right, let's keep it moving here because speaking of the political stuff that's going on off the field, let's transition to the NFL. We have known for some time how do I put this in a politically correct way? I can't, so I'm just going to come out and say it. We've known the nonsense that has existed within the Washington football team, Redskin Commanders organization. And it started at the top with the owner, Daniel Snyder. Nothing really was spoken about until Jim Irsay, of all owners, has come out and said that there is merit to removing Daniel Snyder from his position as owner of the Washington Commanders. So I definitely want to address this, and I want to get everybody's thoughts on this. John, when you heard what Irsay had to say, one of his own, basically, because we always say the owners they're the good old boys, there's 31 of them. And now one of them is speaking out saying there is merit to remove one of us. When he says that, what is your initial reaction? What are your thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, I mean, mine would definitely be, this has to be true. If Dan Snyder is going to say, hey, I have enough evidence to burn this thing to the ground and I'm going to basically take everybody with me, then what do you think the other owners are going to do? You think they're going to be like, yeah, sure. Like, let's just side with Dan Snyder. Like if you're threatening, my well-being and the other, basically, it's like a club. And it's kind of like when you see how do I put it? Like seeing a movie where everybody's like together and they're robbing a bank and they're all in together. But as soon as one person turns on the other, what do the other ones do? Oh, they shoot the guy. They take him out. Like that's kind of what this is, where like everybody's in it together. But now Dan Snyder's like turning on everybody else. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like that's not how this works. We all got dirt on each other. Like you're not going to play that game. So like once one turns on the other, like everybody's going to turn on him, and you're going to see more of this, because if he's going to say he has dirt, I guarantee they got dirt on him. We've already seen all the accusations against him and that organization. So like this isn't there's more to come. Like Jim Irsay's not the only one. We saw, we saw Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft. They just got into it the other day. Like, I don't know if you heard about that. They got into it.
I did hear that.
It's like things are starting to implode a little bit here. And, some people have a disagreement on how Roger Goodell should be paid or how much he should be paid. I think it was Jerry Jones wasn't quite happy, and Robert Kraft and I think Roger Goodell are in together. So, like, it's this whole thing where they all going to start turning on each other. And I hope Dan Snyder, goes down. Because if he really does have dirt, then, then back up what you got to say. Like, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Not that I want the NFL to implode, but, if there's a lot of shady stuff going on, then that stuff should come to light. And we should get rid of the dirty owners and kind of start new and get better people in there. That's how I feel about it.
I think, opening that can of worms, opening that seed and letting it spring to fruition, I think is something that's going to be very telling. Now, the Commanders did issue a statement. They said it is highly inappropriate, but not surprising, that Mr. Irsay opted to make statements publicly based on falsehoods in the media. That was from the Commanders, not from Daniel Snyder. So, Megan, when you hear that, the response, the rebuttal, if you will, what are you thinking about that?
Excuse me. I guess the first thing that comes to mind whenever we heard Irsay say that was, of course, that there's like a cohesiveness between the owners to remove Dan Snyder like that. And I think that just goes to show how deep the problems go. But, as I mentioned last week, like, look at what the NFL did to, cover themselves when CTE came out, like how drastically they went to deny their knowledge of, and they just made sure that they were taken care of. Number one, that was the point, obviously. And I think that they're going to do this in this situation as well. When I first hear it, what comes to mind is when Hillary deleted all of those emails, right? Like that's what it just screams of. That's what it reeks of, like just massive scandal. And I hope that it comes out. And I was highly entertained by what Jerry had to say to Robert Kraft. And if Jerry needs to go, then Jerry needs to go. Like, I think that it's not cancel culture if you're being held accountable for being a crappy human being. If that's the case, you're being held accountable for that. That's not cancel culture. That's you being held accountable for your actions. And so You reap what you sow.
They also made
Okay.
John Gruden the scapegoat and all that.
Absolutely did.
Yep.
But I don't disagree that he shouldn't have lost his job. Like, I do agree
No,
with that.
but he was
But-
definitely the scapegoat.
Oh,
They
yeah,
better get to
because
delete-
trust me,
they
all
better
that-
get to deleting emails.
when the top, when they say the cream rises to the top, yeah, but see that little extra foam on top of there, that was Gruden. They just took him off and was like, no, we cutting this off. The product still at the core is still great, but we had to take care. We had to cut our nose to spite our face. So Megan brings up an interesting point when she says about the cancer culture, and she talks about the fact that, if Jerry's got to go, Jerry's got to go. Mike, as a Cowboys fan, and as someone who has, you've supported this team, you've supported your team, good, bad, or indifferent. How do you feel about the possibility of Jerry's dirty laundry coming out and the impact it may have on, quote, America's team?
Yeah, I mean, look, Robert Kraft shouldn't be talking about anybody's dirty laundry, Mr. Massage Parlor. So, but Eric, what do we always say? I mean, all kidding aside, what do we always say? What do we follow? What do you have to follow to get to the bottom of it?
Yeah, follow the money.
The money. So you follow the money. Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, at some point, I mean, if Jerry goes, it doesn't matter. His son's just going to take over. I mean, Steven's going to take over. It's not like the Cowboys are being sold anytime soon. So that exchange, but the whole Roger Goodell thing, Eric, you remember that goes back to the Zeke suspension. Because when the rundown came out today, that's the whole Zeke suspension, because he wanted to, and when they were having meetings, he wanted to cap Goodell's salary, and he's going after Goodell. He's pretty much pulling, that generation's Al Davis. And look, rest in peace to Al Davis, because Al Davis was the first to sue the NFL, and he won back in the day. Jerry Jones was the second when he first took over, and he also won too when it came to endorsements and marketing and branding of Cowboy Stadium, right? So, but the funny thing about Jim Irsay, and I can't believe I didn't think of this. I was driving back from, ASU today, but I was flipping through radio stations, and some guest said this. It says it was calculated by the NFL owners to send Robert Irsay out there, because what did Irsay do? This is a guy that's rebounded, that checked himself into rehab, which was kind of hush-hush. Maybe it wasn't the longest of programs, but gets the DUI, was a little bit out of control. They put Irsay out there because the other 31, to John's point too, the dirty laundry, you're thinking it, Eric. And so then when you and Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft, two of the most listened to owners, or influential, I won't say listened to, influential owners, they're not going to send them out there if they're feuding, but you send Irsay out there, who's always been strong-minded, making statements, and when they got rid of Carson Wentz and all that. But it doesn't surprise me that Jerry Jones is still holding a grudge against Roger Goodell and doesn't think that the commissioner should make, $30 million a year being the commissioner. So, once you get to money, usually it's not going back, because you still need 24 of the 32 owners to agree on something like that with the commissioner. And
exactly.
But for Daniel Snyder, this guy. And when I say follow the money, Eric, sorry, I know, long tangent, whatever. But when I say follow the money, the Redskins, or the Commanders, pardon me, but when they were the Redskins, they didn't claim or declare a lot of the money. So the NFL and owners lost out on more money. So billionaires lost out on more money. So they're already pissed at him anyway. And you're going to send Jim Irsay forward because, again, and I'm not saying it's about the money. Everything that they've done in that organization, we highlighted it for a whole hour, pretty much that one night on the show when it first came out of the culture there, and the way women were treated and the way Snyder was acting. Yep. So it's pathetic that it takes the money to put it over the top. But
again, that's where you hit them, though. But we've learned. We know this as we've grown up. How do you affect true change? You hit a person where it hurts the most. And in this case, you hit them in their pockets.
You hit 31 other owners in their pockets.
Right. You hit them with their.
How realistic is it to hold somebody that's the owner of the richest sports franchise in the world in any sport, how realistic is it that he's really going to be held up to the standard as everybody else? And he should be.
No,
I'm not saying he shouldn't be,
right,
but I'm
no,
saying
you're
how
absolutely right.
realistic is that? How realistic
know.
is that?
I
Wait
think
for
it's
Snyder
very
or
realistic.
Jones?
Because
Well,
it obviously,
Hold
because
on.
obviously winning or not winning really has not been enough to get him out of there. Like it doesn't. He's always been business minded. He's always put the business side of it first, and so
Right.
winning wasn't the number one thing there. Excuse me.
the
And
reason
go ahead.
the reason he's not out of there is, like he said, he has all that dirt. We've seen all the accusations against him. We've seen basically where the FBI is like, "Hey, we need to. We're gonna subpoena you," and he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm on a yacht."
They have to
Like,
build the
talk to my-
case.
No,
The
not the
case has to
FBI,
be
John.
built.
Congress.
or
Okay.
Congress. I'm sorry.
Congress.
Like, hey, talk to my lawyers. I'm too busy. Like,
Right.
we know that this guy has so much dirty, his hands so dirty that he's basically. I believe him when he says, like, if you take me down, essentially, I'm taking the whole system down with me. I believe it, and I say, well,
So-
I welcome
But
it. Like,
Eric,
got
let me
it.
ask
Hold
you
on, Mike.
this. To John's
Real
point,
quick, we'll get to that. I want to do this because we had someone ask, what did Jerry do? So I just want to clarify. So TMZ reported that Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft got into an argument, and Jerry basically told Robert Kraft, don't F with me, because like you said, Mike, they were discussing Commissioner Goodell's future contract. And Kraft, and again, I'm getting this straight from TMZ, Kraft said, excuse me? And Jerry just responded, don't mess with me. So that is what had happened.
Right.
But Mike, go ahead, keep going. We got to keep it moving. But go ahead. Last point. I want to go to you, and then we'll finish this up.
I was gonna ask you because and with Daniel Snyder, I mean, what dirt is he gonna have on the other owners that wouldn't implicate him? I mean, are we going and again,
but Mike,
He's
Congress
already
is
in
going
trouble.
down
He's
anyway.
already in
Right.
trouble. Yeah,
No,
but
but what I'm saying-
he's looking at time because he's got double
Right.
bullshit.
So he's going to pull everybody down with him.
No, but what I'm
Exactly.
saying, but it's not pulling down because what is the other dirt you're going to talk about? It's not like they're signing any illegal business deals.
No,
because
I
they
bet
can
there
go
is
down.
dirt. No, I bet there
But we
is
don't
dirt.
know.
They're not reacting this way. They're not reacting this way because they're innocent.
Right.
I understand that, but what is it going to come down
No
to?
way.
How all 32 teams, 31 other teams besides the Niners, like we've talked about.
I think you know what's going to come out,
Kaepernick.
Mike. You know what's going to come out. The same thing that owners in the NBA are getting put out for, probably misogyny and racism. That's probably what's going to come out. I mean, we've already seen it happen in the NBA.
But
It
that's
hasn't
what I'm saying.
happened
It's
in the
happened
NFL
in
yet, but
his-
it's gonna happen.
But it's
I
happened.
completely
It's happened in
agree.
his organization. That's my point. So he says he's got dirt on them. The
But-
dirt's going to be back
He's
on
going
him.
down
But
anyway.
he already knows that he's a sinking ship, and he's just waiting for somebody to pull the rug out from under him. And he knows as soon as that rug gets pulled out, he's like, all right, I'm pulling out what I got in my back pocket. Guess what? I got something on
Right,
all
but
the
John,
other.
when somebody does
Here
that,
you go.
last thing I'll say, Eric, when somebody does that, what do they look like? The scorned former employee who everybody's saying he's just
we already
making
know he
stuff
looks
up.
like a scumbag.
But we
But it's
know,
just
but
making
we
stuff
know
up.
why do we call them the good old boys? Because we already know what they're like. It's
Right.
not a surprise. It's
Yeah,
not
but
a
Snyder
surprise.
was part of
We
the-
know
what
who
they
we're
do-
dealing with.
But
What
the
they
technical
do-
good old boys is like, I mean, and again, I'm not picking on the Steelers. I'm saying it's ownership groups like the Steelers, and even though they've been at the forefront, so it might be a bad example. Daniel Snyder was that 90s, that late 90s, like internet boom, new money. So yes, I understand the owners do get lumped into good old boys, and I agree with you guys on that. I'm just saying, when, like we've always said, when you become a billionaire, there's not too many people telling you no. And like Jerry Jones saying to another billionaire, don't mess with me. He messed with them last time. And Eric, the last thing I'll say about that, it's hilarious because we know Jerry Jones lost, Zeke got suspended, Goodell got his raise. So he's not going to win this one again anyway.
Okay, so what I'm going to say to you is this: to answer all your questions, we're going to take a break and we're going to move on because I kind of figured this was going to be a subject that was going to go longer than I anticipated, but that's what we do. What I'm going to say to you is this, Mike: who's it going to affect? It's going to affect Jerry's pocket. It's going to affect how the world perceives him. For those of us who perceive Jerry one way, it's going to change our opinion. For those of us who already know and are not going to be surprised or shocked by what dirty laundry is finally aired out, we're just going to be like, see, I told you he was like this. That's all it's going to be. Now, is Jerry going to have to remove himself as owner of the Dallas Cowboys? No, I don't see that happening. Why? He's a billionaire with a B. That's like saying Oprah has to leave Harpo. That ain't happening. We know this to be the case. Okay? We know this to be the case. You hit the nail on the head, Mike, when you said it. When you're a billionaire, not too many people, there is a 0.0000001% who might be able to step to you and say something. Okay? So at the end of the day, you're going to have two sides here. The side that already knew this and is happy that it finally came to light, actually, you're going to have three sides. The side that actually is going to be like, wow, I did not expect this. I kind of expected it from others, but not from him. And then you're going to have the side that's going to be like fake news. That's what's going to happen. All right, let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we are going to jump. We're going to stay in the NFL, but I got to make sure we talk about Thursday Night Football, and we got to talk some NBA because opening night. So more with the crew. We'll be back. Give us about a minute. Everybody can get themselves together. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Arena. I got my Queen of Hoops, Megan Price, my man Blue Hawk 13, John Shear, and ASU Forks up over there on the West Coast to West Coast. My man Mike Caratanudo. All right, let's keep going in NFL. I know this topic is probably going to go a little longer, so I may save it for just a moment. Really quick, let's give our picks for Thursday Night Football. All right, everybody, really quick, 30 seconds. Megan, who you like in this Thursday night matchup? I'm going to start with you, then Mike, then John, and I'll close it out.
Come to me last.
Oh, Jesus. I try to be nice and go ladies first, and fine. Mike, who you like in this matchup, man?
Well, since I'm out here and since our boy Nuke is coming back, Eric, I mean, come on, man. I know it's unfortunate that Hollywood Brown went down and there was little rumblings. I don't know if you saw it. I know it was more than local, but DeAndre Hopkins, somebody of course asked him, oh, you're just getting your first game. Are you going to be limited in snaps? And he didn't yell at the reporter, but he looked back. He goes, they already know that I'm not on any kind of snap count. He's itching to get out there. Nuke has a big game. No Jameis Winston still, and Megan's boyfriend Andy Dalton starting. I got the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, Winston is healthy. He's healthy enough to be active, but they haven't named a starting quarterback, and you're a day before the game, and you haven't named a starting quarterback. I just can't see the Saints winning this. The Cardinals need this more, and I got to go with the Cardinals on this. Nuke being back, and they just got Robbie Anderson, but he's not really going to play. But I got to go Cardinals on this one. I think in a landslide.
I don't know if I go a landslide. I think both these teams have the exact same record. They're coming in 2-4. I do think the Cardinals have more to prove. And I agree that I think D-Hop is going to get plenty of targets. So I don't think it's going to be a landslide, though. I'm going to go 3.5 points on the spread. So that's where I'm at on it.
What more needs to be said? Then first off, to John and Mike and everybody else, it's Nook. It ain't Nuke, it's Nook. But that's okay. It's all right. Y'all are working your way into the Ebonics Club. We got you. Anyhow, yeah, this is truly the Arizona Cardinals game. It is our man D-Hop, my opinion. And yes, I'll say this, and I know Mike will at least agree with me. We agree on some things. It's the fact of the matter that he is the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. Yeah, I said it for all y'all in the cheap seats. But yeah, Arizona, I'll say at least by 10.
Can I just say something about this game, Eric? This game's going to be trash. It's Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime. It's going to be trash. Every Amazon Prime game has been trash this year, and this one's going to end up being no different. We're all going to sit on our couches, and it's going to be 6-3 late in the game tomorrow. We're going to be like, this game sucks.
Eric, he's wrong about that. Eric, you know he's wrong about that. The one thing I was going to say is last week Seattle scored 19 points, right? And Geno Smith, I don't care what anybody says, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the game, but he was the highest rated quarterback coming into that week. And the Cardinals, hey, they kept him in check, man. 4 field goals and 1 touchdown. So it's not going to be trash like John's team getting 40 put up on him by the Jets, baby.
Listen,
what happened to you in Philly?
We need a good Thursday night matchup.
We lost to the Jets.
We need a good Thursday night matchup. That's what we need. And
I was going to say Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill will be the key to that too, because if the Cardinals contain him-ish, because you know he's going to get a lot of snaps, if they contain him-ish, unlike the Seahawks had a shootout with him and he went crazy.
He's playing about 33% of the snaps offensively. So
all right, I got a couple topics I got to get to, guys. So we did that. Let's talk about everybody's thoughts on opening night, which was last night in the NBA. You had the Lakers and the Warriors. You had the Celtics and the 76ers. Give me your initial thoughts, and I'm going to start with the Queen of Hoops on this one.
I think that with the late game with the Lakers and the Warriors, we saw exactly what we expected out of the Warriors. Steph kind of had a slow start, but then he ended up with 33 points, not surprising whatsoever. Andrew Wiggins looking like his right-hand man again. He just got paid. He got 20 points. And then you have Klay Thompson, who I think you would expect him to be Steph's right-hand man. I don't think he's just quite gotten there yet. As coming back from those injuries, he was gone for two seasons. Jordan Poole had 12 points, so I think he's starting to earn his contract. But I think like where we saw the salt was there in Draymond. He had 4 points, 5 assists, 5 boards. Like, you're going to need more out of him if you're going to be having this much drama with him on the court, in practice. Like, you need to produce more. You need to be doing more. And I realize it's game 1. It's very early in the season. But now the earlier game, you had the Sixers and the Boston. This was not surprising either. I think the Sixers still have to iron out a few things. But the Celtics, with the most underrated pickup, but I think one of the hottest pickups was Brogdon. Brogdon ended up with 16 points, 4 assists, and 2 boards. So I think that was a huge pickup for Boston. Now they have their own drama as well, coaching drama. So I think the Sixers are going to be just fine, but they just kind of have to figure out their rotations. Unfortunately, they got Doc Rivers at the head of that. So hopefully he's able to figure it out.
Wow. Oh, the spewing, the hatred. Okay.
He doesn't adjust well, Eric.
I missed this.
It's the regular season, Megan. It's night 1. We know what Doc does in the regular season. Spew that vitriol when you get to the postseason, because I'll be joining you right along with you with a bottle, okay?
Who is a foot shorter. He bodied Embiid.
I love it.
Okay. All right. We won't get to that. So my opening night thoughts are simply this. Sixers and the Celtics, listen, it was very much what I was anticipating and what I was hoping it would be. I agree with you, Megan. There are still some things that need to be seen from the Sixers. Adjustments. Basic adjustments need to be made. Again, yes, it is Doc Rivers, and I understand that. But again, it's the regular season. I still say, and I said it on Monday night, and I'll say it again tonight, everybody being healthy, the Philadelphia 76ers will have the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Okay? With regards to the late game, I think where you talked about Golden State, I'm going to go to the Lakers and say there's already cause for concern after night 1 with the Lakers. Based on what we saw, just the attitude, the energy that wasn't there. Listen, LeBron's always going to get his. We know that. If AD stays healthy, AD can be the guy to kind of somewhat keep this team together. But Russell Westbrook has got to go. They got to figure out how to move him quick, fast, and in a hurry, because you bring in a Pat Beverly who's trying to be the guy, to be the glue, and Westbrook is having nothing about it. You know, I don't care if he starts. I don't care if he comes off the bench. he's just not that. There's no synchronicity as long as Westbrook is a part of this team. John, I'm gonna go to you, and then Mike, you can close it out.
Eric, I disagree. Westbrook does not have to go. We all need to see this dysfunction, and I'm curious where Big Guard and where Ray Lynn are at, because they knew we were going to be talking Lakers, but they're not in the comment section tonight. I mean, Big Guard was all over it Monday night talking all about those Eagles and the Cowboys, but tonight, Big Guard nowhere to be found. Ray Lynn nowhere to be found. Of course not. We're talking about their dysfunctional Lakers. They'll wait until the Lakers are back in dynasty form, and then they'll just come out of the woodworks. That's how Laker fans are. Yeah, I'm just here for the Lakers dysfunction. I mean, it is entertaining, and I love it. Congrats to the Warriors. You beat a hapless Lakers team, but I mean, I'm all for the dysfunction. And then a Sixers loss on top of that. Man, I just love that. And Megan tells me that Embiid got bodied by a guy a foot shorter than him. Oh man, I love this. Every Sixers L, I'm here for. I'm here for all of it.
And I just want to chime in real quick. If you got,
get out of here, Eric. You're not getting the 2 seed. You might be 4. I mean, I'll give you 4. Not getting
okay,
two.
but
Like,
look, if you got Pat Bev as the glue to your team, that's your first problem. I don't think it's Russell Westbrook. I think Pat Bev is the problem. Sit down somewhere. Quit jumping on tables because you made it to the play-in tournament. Get it together. You're not even
I just want them to keep doing this. Whatever they're doing in LA, please keep doing it. Because
Mike, I'm gonna let you close this out so we can keep it moving here.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the Lakers Warriors game, the Warriors weren't going to come out and let down and lose, when banner night, everything like that. They're going to smoke the Lakers. And they're a team. I mean, Steph put up 33, like John said. Wiggins had 20. I think Clay had, 18. And I will say this real quick about the Warriors, because the first game, and again, I'm not picking on your Sixers. The first game was bigger to me anyway, Eric. But this is going to be the year, now that Clay, knock on wood, stayed healthy all last season. Clay's going to have like a few of those games where he puts up like 50 and only taking like 12 dribbles. Like, he's going to spot shoot. He's going to be on you and I talked about it, Eric, when we were messaging last year. Remember, he's on a really PO tour. Like, everybody in the playoffs saying, it's not, Clay's not the same all regular season. The dude went ACL and a freaking ruptured Achilles. Like, I didn't say this last year. I don't want anybody to do it, but all the people that are saying it's not Clay, he's soft, this and that. Go tear your ACL and then rupture your Achilles and let me know how you feel 9 months later after you rehab. Right. But anyway, the Sixers-Celtics game, and the Celtics had to win that game, Eric, because of everything that went down with Udoka. It's in Boston. Like, it's them against the world. And, obviously, like I said, the honoring of Bill Russell, which obviously should be done, and courts all over. They had a great pregame, and I caught part of it. Full disclosure to all our fans, I caught part of it on YouTube. And I saw like some of the pregame stuff they did. And I'm like, yeah, it's really awesome. But the Sixers, man, everybody talking trash. And John, if you interrupt me, I'm bouncing you. Everybody talking trash about my Sun Devil, James Harden. He's this, he's that. Oh, he's going to ask for a toe. He's this, he's that. He's going to ask for, I heard yesterday, when's James Harden going to ask for a trade? He wants to be gone. Dude, he wanted to be away from Kyrie's dysfunction. They're superstars, fine. We all know they're spoiled. But James Harden put up 35 and 37 minutes last night handling the ball. Doc Rivers, to Megan's point, and your point too, Eric, in the playoffs, yes, Doc doesn't adjust. Doc hammered Harden in the offseason, in the preseason. We need you to be you. Doesn't mean you have to take 50 shots like you did in Houston, because you don't need to ISO, because you have Embiid. You have Maxey. Like, you have dudes. He put up 35 and 37 minutes. And yes, I'm not going to overreact, Derek. You're right, because it's game 1. But by about game 15, game 20, because when he was the point guard in Brooklyn, because Kyrie didn't want to be point guard when they were playing together, how many assists a game did James Harden have? About 10 to 12? Yeah. He's going to put up 35 and 10 a night? I know I said John Morant win MVP, but if Harden's putting up about 30 to 35 a night, and especially in big games, and 10 assists, there's your MVP. The Sixers, forget the 2 seed. Forget the 2 seed, Eric. They stay healthy with Embiid, they're going to be the damn 1 seed in the East.
Is there a drug test policy at Silent Sports? Because he needs to be the first.
No, because here's the thing.
It's not a show of John doesn't get booted.
Here's the thing. It's not about drug testing. Eric, it's game one, and I'm not going to overreact. Look how they played, and you saw it's your team. Look how he played.
I watched that team, and even Ray was messaging me. He was like, "Up, Harden going back to be Harden because he was getting his fouls. He was doing his shimmy from beyond the arc."
I saw the ball.
I need to see more of that.
100%.
The same thing I say about the Eagles, I'm gonna say about my Sixers. Be consistent, beat the Celtics. Okay, let's just keep it that way, people. All right, that's what I need to see more of. So let's keep it moving here because, wow, we got so much to get to. All right, transitioning over to Major League Baseball. Let me get everybody's real quick thoughts on the playoffs and how they have, transpired to where we are at now. We have the Phillies and the Padres. We have the Yankees and the Astros. And John, I know how you feel. As long as the Yankees are losing, you're a happy man. I get that. So I know you're all in on the Astros. So John, talk to me then about the Phillies and the Padres and what you foresee. What's your expectation between these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, nobody expected either of these teams to really make it this far, especially the Phillies. I mean, they've heard all the chatter about the Braves. The Braves are the reigning champs. They've heard all of it, and, they went out and won game one. They lost game two tonight, but they went out and won game one. I don't know how the Padres are going to respond when they get to Philly on Friday night. Like, I don't know how they're going to respond because we saw that crowd the previous round and the Braves did not handle it well and that crowd was all over them. And I'm not sure that the Padres, even with Soto and company, I'm not sure they're going to be able to handle that crowd. I kind of think that the Phillies are going to leave Saturday night up 3-1. For what I have a weird feeling that the Phillies are going to be up 3-1. It felt like the Phillies had a nice chance at 2-0 today, and Padres stormed back. Kudos to them, but I don't know. Right now, I don't believe in the Padres as much as and did anybody see that cringe video Padres fans made? Oh, it was terrible. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
That's why we didn't watch it.
Terrible. But for some reason, I see the Phillies pulling this series out and going to the World Series. I just don't get the vibe from the Padres that they're gonna be able to handle those crowds on the road. I don't think they will. So okay. I think the Phillies are gonna end up somehow stealing this.
All right, Megan, I know you are not an Astros fan. You rep Texas, but I have to ask you about this ALCS between the Yankees and the Astros. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, for you, is it a lesser of two evils?
Always. But, I'll ride with boyfriend's team and just say, I hope New York takes it just for personal reasons. It will be more pleasant household. But, I just really hate the Stros, and it's not because they got caught cheating and they won and they didn't get their title taken. It's not because of that. It's because they came to my division and they have won my division every year since they've been there, and I'm just sick of them, and I just can't stand the Astros. I really want them to go back to the National League. But the Yankees, the Stros are just their kryptonite. They have not beat the Stros in recent games, and so that's going to be a really tough series for them. They're going off of no rest. And so I think when we started the show, they were down 3-1. I'm not really sure of the score at the moment, but it's going to be tough for them.
Megan. It's 4-2 Astros in the eighth.
Okay, thank you. And so game one and game two are going to be in Houston. And I do hate them. Sorry. And they were never on my radar before. I didn't care about the Astros, and then they came to my division, and we haven't won a thing since then. I just hate them.
When did you win anything before that?
All right.
We won the pennant twice. Watch your mouth.
All right. See, that's why he's got to go. Mike, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, to your point, as much as I like to razz you, I mean, baseball is one of those things. I mean, I really did want – it would have been cool to see the Mets win it this year just because I remember how fun 86 was. And, of course, that was a whole different culture and a team that drank and partied till 3 a.m. and then went back to the ballpark and whooped people the next day. And I know you saw that 30 for 30, Eric, so that's why you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. But, no, look, for these series, look, the Yankees, coming off because of the rain delay, having to go to Houston today to play. Here's the thing that I find interesting in that game. I mean, Verlander pitched an absolute gem. I think What in the box score? Yeah, here it says he struck out 11 in 6 innings pitched, and he reclaiming the all-time postseason K record. And then the Astros broke. It was tied at 1-1. The Astros got 2 dingers. But anyway, it's 4-2. But he struck out those guys. And again, we know you can see Verlander on short rest. But tell you what, man, if the Yankees can somehow rally and win this, that would be huge. But I think the Yankees win the game tomorrow. And to Megan's point, yeah, like the whole getting caught cheating thing, it's like, back in the day, if guys from second base were looking in, and you stole a sign that way legitimately because they were too dumb to mask their signs. Like, but the one thing I think that annoys fans the most about them cheating like that is doing it in the regular season, because that year, I'm sorry, Aaron Judge should have won MVP that year.
I like this Walter Mitchell guy.
Yeah, to Altuve. But yeah, I think I'd like to see the Yankees win it just because the Astros, the fact they've been winning it. John, to answer your question, though, the one thing that about San Diego, especially like down the stretch of the season, and yeah, you're talking Soto, you're talking a guy like Machado who they got early and they signed him to that big contract. If Tatis didn't get suspended, it'd be a whole different story. But they have the pitching that can hang on the road. I mean, again, it is going to be crazy and wild in Philly. I mean, anywhere you go on the road in baseball, playoff time, I mean, crowds are definitely are bringing it. I will give crowds that when the visiting team's batting. But I think that the Padres do have the pitching that can at least match it. I see that series going 7, in my opinion. I see that series going 7. I see the Yankees and Astros because of the way the Yankees can hit the long ball, and they still do have the pitching too. I mean, we'll see how fired up the Indians got Garrett Cole, but I see the Phillies and Padres going 7. And literally who's ever bullpen holds up will win that game 7. But I see the Yankees beating the Astros in 6.
All right.
So I kind of disagree on that one. I'm going to go with the Phillies, and I'm just going to say that energy is so electric. And the reason it's going to be a huge factor is because the Padres, if you hear people talk about them, they talk about how their communication on the field is one of the worst out there. Like, they're not communicating with each other. And so a lot of people didn't even expect them to make it this far. Obviously, they have the talent to do it, or they wouldn't be there where they're at right now. But I think that's one of those feelings, one of those moments in sports when it was like, hey, this team is going to make it. And that's what I get when I watch Philly. And I think that's going to be something that they need right now. They haven't had great baseball teams. It's been a while. It's been since 2016, since the Eagles were good. Like, they've kind of have this coming. And I think if it's not going to be the Eagles this year, then it might be the Phillies.
It's definitely not going to be the Eagles.
Megan,
John, if you ever ruin a mic drop moment again, you are banned for like 3 weeks. I'm
Megan's
telling you right now.
Reverse psychology.
If you would ever ruin a mic drop moment like that ever again, Megan was so on point. She was so in there. She was in her groove. She was doing her thing. Don't you ever interrupt.
I guess I'm that good.
When she is doing a mic drop.
I guess
moment.
I'm that good.
No,
you're
not
that
good.
Hey, but
don't
to
ever do that
Denzel's
again.
comment
Because the next time you do it, John, it's going to be followed by this.
Swung on and into the air to deep left center.
This rant is specifically aimed at John Scheer. John thought he could just come on the Sports Arena, the show that I host and produce and direct and edit and do everything about, along with the entire crew, alongside Ty Ray, alongside Megan Price, alongside Michael Carrot Snoodle, and alongside Ray Lynn, my co-host. John Cheer thought he's going to come and take over Eric's rant because his Miami Dolphins were 2-0 with Tua. No, bro. I'm taking it back where rightfully belongs to me. Don't you ever disrespect our Queen Hoops like that again. That was her moment to talk about my team, and I just let her do her thing, and then you want to throw in Eagles ain't that good. We still undefeated, John. Phillies ain't that good. We're in the NLCS, John. Where are your teams at, by the way? Oh, that's right. They're still trying to find their way out of the hole they dug themselves in. Bro, don't you ever. I'm telling you, John. Ooh, I'm so mad right now, but we still got a show to do. I'm going to be back.
Oh, are you done? Sorry, I fell
let's,
asleep.
Let's get to the last topic of the night. And it actually does involve Tua Tagovailoa, and it does involve Dak Prescott, all right? Both of those quarterbacks are slated to come back this week. So I want to hear from the three of you the impact that your starting quarterback is going to have moving forward with this season. So I'm going to go with John first because I know he's going to just talk everybody's face off with regard to Tua.
Thank you.
And then I do want to hear from Mike and Megan with regards to Dak. So John Scheer, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, we all talked. I mean, Ray Lynn especially, and he, as much as he denied it on Monday, I listened to when he talked about how scary this Dolphins offense is and how nobody's really paying attention to him after the Bills game. He gave him all the credit in the world, but then Tua basically didn't play for 3 games, and the Dolphins lost all them games, and the offense looks nothing like what it looked like. There's one X factor in that. That's Tua. Like, without him, Jalen Wild doesn't look the same. Now, Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill's going to look like Tyreek Hill. You can't coach that speed, but the offense just doesn't look the same. Even like with Hill, like he's not breaking long touchdowns and stuff. Like the offense just doesn't look the same. And the X factor is Tua. When Tua comes back Sunday night, and man, it's going to be the best game of the week because, it's in Miami prime time. Of course, that's going to be better than any game you can think of. The X factor is Tua, man, and when he's back, as long as he's healthy, the Dolphins are a top 5 team in the NFL, man. Like, their defense hasn't even played well, and you guys were concerned. You were scared. You were like, wow, this team's so scary offensively whenever he was healthy. And then he hasn't been healthy, and they lost 3 straight. So whenever he's healthy, and he will be back Sunday night, it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be fun. You're not going to get any more of that Thursday night stuff that we're about to see tomorrow. You're not going to get any of that because you'll forget about all that when the Dolphins put up like 40 points on the Steelers and they just boat race them. Like top 5 team in the NFL. We're back. Like Tua's back. Said, watch out. You can laugh all you want, man, but remember what happened the first 3 weeks of the season when you had people on ESPN and Fox and all those places saying, are the Dolphins one of the best teams in football? But it's a different story when Tua's not there. So just saying, man, it's a different game now. Y'all got to watch out.
Okay, so let me hear from the 2 Cowboys fans. Because, like I said, Dak is slated to make his return. Now, we don't know if it's official yet. We got to wait till Thursday or Friday to see if he actually is going to go. But talk to me about him coming back and your team being 2.5 games out of being a part of the division. But you're not at that 3-3 mark where a lot of these teams, such as the Bucs, such as the Packers, such as the Rams, those teams that we proverbial said they were going to run away with their division are middle of the pack. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles all slated at the top right now. So, Megan, Mike, please talk to me.
You know what? My concern with Dak is, you remember last season whenever Russell Wilson, whenever he started the season and he was like an early pick for the MVP, right? And he gets injured, plays the rest of the season injured, and he just looks awful. And then, we see what's going on in Denver. And I know when Denver paid him all that money, I was concerned, like, is he even at that level of play anymore to where he deserves that type of money? And not saying that Dak is there But, last season, he had a great comeback at the first part of the season. And then the second half of the season, not great. And then week 1, we saw what happened. He broke his hand. So, he needs some really good energy coming in. He needs some big performances to get his momentum, to get his confidence up. And I'm not saying that he's not capable of this, but it needs to happen. But if there were any two better teams for this to happen, we've got Detroit, which, don't get me wrong, their offense is not that bad, but they are the worst defense in the league. So what a great game to throw Dak back into. And then you follow up and you got to play Chicago. So I feel like those are the two perfect teams for Dak to kind of get back into his groove. And then we got to face Green Bay. And then we got to play New York, who obviously we've seen. I do think that they're eventually going to lose some steam. But at this point in time, they're better than us. And so that game is going to be very important.
Well, I don't know if they're better than us. I mean, we did beat them.
Their record.
Well,
their record is better.
Their
record. And that's important right now because just like Eric said, you've got Philly at the top, undefeated. Then you got New York, and then you got us. And so it's going to be really important for us to beat New York.
Right, but I'm saying having already beat them once, it's not like the Giants are winning the rest of their games, even though Brian Dale's winning chop. Yeah, for Dak, I mean, I'm not even taking a shot at Ray Lynn because he said it like it's the first time teams had the number one offense and also the worst defense. So
right, yeah,
if there's games to come back because like you just said, it's an NFC North run. But last year for Dak, it was 6-0 in the division. They were 6-5 outside the division. He missed obviously the one game against Minnesota, which Cooper Rush on that game, they were able to win the game. He made some plays. They ran the ball on the road in Minnesota. So, but for Dak, it's one of those things where, coming back against Detroit. But Megan, to me, it comes down to Kellen Moore. Like, you stayed balanced. You gave the ball to Pollard. You gave the ball to Zeke. And, you've seen Zeke as the game goes on. Again, he is getting stronger. Like, you just keep pounding on defensive lines. And that's what they did to the Giants in that week, too. I mean, the defense balled out, but they kept pounding on the Giants' D-line. And pretty much the Bengals, same thing. We saw the formula. But coming back against this NFC North run is great because I was the one, and again, not saying that all you guys are wrong, but the Packers, I'm still not sold. Yes, the Jets beat them last week too after the Jets wiped up the Dolphins and showed them who their daddy was, Megan. But I don't know if you know that the Jets put
you
up.
You think they're not going to try and bounce back with us? That's my thing. Like, they may not be the same team that they were last season, but they still.
No, but I'm saying for Dak, this is a great stretch to your point because you get Detroit, you get to Chicago, you get a bye, you get Green Bay, and then the toughest one to me is Minnesota. From that point of what Minnesota can do.
No. Okay, Minnesota.
Dalvin Cook healthy. Look, Dalvin Cook healthy, and of course Justin Jefferson. Even if First Cousins is throwing the ball, Eric's favorite. But look, it's a great time for him to come back. I don't think they rush it. I think if they rush it, he would have played last week, and he would have been like, "Oh, look, I'm gripping. I can throw. I can do this. I can do that." And he was. I mean, all accounts out of practice. And from everybody, the reporters and everything you're reading, he was throwing pretty good last week. But it's like, you know what? It's going to be going into week 7 after this. We have 10 more weeks left. Like, there's no need to do that. And I just think, again, against Detroit will probably move the ball on them because, like you said, we've seen their offense. They didn't move it against – they moved it against the Patriots even though they never scored because they kept going for it on 4th down. But it's a great stretch.
Our rush defense isn't the greatest, so –
there's a lot of Cowboys talk.
Well, it's better
okay.
I wasn't here Monday.
Did we not give you your time to speak about Tua?
But it's the Cowboys. I just gotta say something.
Paper.
I love how Megan says they gotta ease him in back against the Lions because they're too scared to go up against Philly last week. He
wasn't ready to go.
It's not about because you know what, John? I give Philly their credit. No, I give Philly their credit because they're a more complete team. Yes, we won that. We won our star quarterback to get eased back in. You're dang right.
Exactly.
Y'all need to be easing Tua. Y'all need to ease Tua back in because he looked like he had a seizure on the field.
I will definitely agree with that. You definitely gonna have to ease Tua back in, John.
Right.
Tua needs to be protected from himself.
Agreed.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, who just beat the Bucks, John.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett,
Bring him on.
a rookie quarterback, just beat Tom Brady.
No, Mitch.
Right.
That's the mind frame that got y'all in this situation, John.
Yes.
Hey,
All right.
the Jets just scored again.
Ladies
So
and
did
gentlemen,
Philly.
that's going to do it for us here at the Sports Arena. We will be back Monday night, man. Big shout out to everybody chiming in the comments. We really appreciate it. I was going to try and see if I could show the tribute that they had to Bill Russell last night, but apparently YouTube won't let me sync to StreamYard for some unknown reason. I don't know. But anyhow, we show our love and respect to one of the greats as well. If someone were to ask me who my all-time favorite player in the entire NBA was from top to bottom, from then until now, I will always say Bill Russell. And yes, it is because he has 11 rings, but more about his activism and who he was as a man during a time when a black man wasn't given the respect, the human decency. If he was on the court entertaining people, they loved him. But the minute he stepped off the court, I won't even say what I want to say, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Anyhow, much love to Megan Price, Mike Caratenuto, John Scheer, Ty Ray, and of course, Ray Lynn. We will see you guys back on Monday. Everyone have a great night. Peace.